You know what time it is. You looked at your phone 11 minutes ago, and you know exactly how much sleep you're about to not get. You have to be up in 6 hours, maybe 5.5. You know this. You have already done the math. You have already had the thought, I should go to bed. You may have had it 3 times, and you stay. Not because you don't know it's late. Not because you don't understand consequences. Not because something is wrong with your self-control. There is something much more specific happening. And once you understand what it actually is, you will never call this laziness again. There is a term for this. In 2014, Dutch sleep researcher Kroese was studying bedtime behavior. Specifically, why people who reported wanting more sleep consistently chose to delay it. Not people who were busy, not people who had obligations. People who were free to sleep. Who could have slept, who stayed awake anyway. She called it bedtime procrastination. But the word that matters is not procrastination, it's revenge. Kroese's research identified the pattern. People who had the least control over their days were the ones most likely to delay sleep at night. Not because they were disorganized, not because they lacked discipline. Because the night was the only time that belonged to them. The day was spent in meetings you couldn't leave. Tasks someone else set. Emails that required a particular version of you. The particular performance of being available, agreeable, productive. And then you got home, and you did more of it. Dinner, dishes, whatever the household needed. Whatever the children needed. Whatever was required. And by 11 p.m., the day had been entirely other people's, so you stay up, not because you're irresponsible, because you're taking back the one thing that was never given to you. To understand why this happens so reliably, you need to know one specific thing about how humans work. In 2000, psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan published what would become one of the most replicated findings. In motivational psychology, their self-determination theory identified 3 fundamental psychological needs. Not preferences, not things it would be nice to have. Needs, the same category as food and sleep, the need to feel competent, the need for connection with others, and the need for autonomy. Autonomy, the felt sense that your life is directed by you, that your choices are yours. That at least some portion of your time exists on your own terms. When autonomy is frustrated across a day, when every hour has been structured by someone else's expectations, every response shaped by someone else's needs, every choice bounded by someone else's schedule, something accumulates. Not anger, not resentment, exactly. Something quieter and more persistent, a deficit. I have not had a single hour today that was mine. In 1998, psychologist Roy Baumeister documented what happens when people exercise self-control. Across a sustained period, each act of regulation, each moment of suppressing your own preferences to meet a demand depletes a finite resource. By 11 p.m., after a full day of being what the day required you to be, that resource is nearly gone. And the autonomy deficit is still there, unpaid. So the nervous system does what nervous systems do when a fundamental need goes unmet. It creates a drive, so you try to fix it. You set a screen time limit. You put the phone in another room. You buy blue light glasses. You put a podcast on to fall asleep. You download a sleep app. None of it works. And this is why. Every single one of those interventions addresses the phone. The phone is not the problem. The phone is the vehicle, the night is the vehicle, the scrolling is the vehicle, the problem is a day with no autonomy in it. Remove the phone, and the autonomy need is still there. It will find the next available vehicle, the television, a book read past 1 a.m., lying awake with your own thoughts for 2 hours because at least they're yours. The intervention changes the form. The need doesn't move. Nobody tells you this. Every sleep hygiene guide targets the symptom. The blue light, the device in the bedroom, the caffeine after 2 p.m. None of them ask what the day looked like. So here is what is happening at 1 a.m. You are not sabotaging yourself. You are not failing at discipline. You are not bad at sleep. You are honoring a fundamental psychological need in the only time slot the day gave you. For it, the problem is not the need. The problem is that the need has nowhere to live before midnight. This is why every approach that treats revenge bedtime procrastination as a sleep problem is addressing the wrong thing. It is not a sleep problem. It is a time ownership problem. The question is not, how do I go to bed earlier? The question is, where else in this day can the autonomy need be met, even in small amounts, even in the gaps that already exist and are currently used for something productive, even in 15 minutes that feel too insignificant to protect. The smaller the autonomy debt by midnight, the less urgently the night needs to repay it. You are not going to solve this by being stricter with yourself at night. The night is the symptom. The day is where the answer lives. Here is the one thing I want you to take from this. Stop trying to go to bed earlier. Start trying to own the day a little more. Not dramatically, not a new morning routine, not a restructured schedule. One thing, small, somewhere in the day that already exists. A walk at lunch that goes nowhere, 5 minutes in the car before you go inside. A meal that has no screen in it, and no purpose beyond eating. Something that belongs to no deliverable, no one's expectations, no version of you that is useful to anyone else. You are not building a habit. You are making a deposit. A small autonomous moment during the day is a deposit against the autonomy debt that would otherwise come due at midnight. The debt shrinks, the drive to stay up diminishes. Not because you forced yourself to bed, because the night stopped being the only place that was yours. The day you treat yourself as someone whose time matters during daylight is the night you stop needing to reclaim it in the dark. If you recognize yourself in this, there's more here. New videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Always psychology, always evidence, never generic advice. The next one is already waiting.